In this story, when you hear this, turn the page. Portland Bill's important message. Stornoway the seagull flew down and perched on the bow of Portland Bill's rowing boat, the Puppet. Bill was checking the lobster pots. It was a sunny day, and as he worked, he sang loudly. Diddly-eye, tie, diddly-diddly-eye, dum, to be a lighthouse keeper. Portland Bill pulled up the lobster pots one after another. Each one was empty. Not much luck today, Stornoway, old chum. I think the lobsters must be playing hide and seek. Bill really didn't mind that he'd caught nothing, for the sun was shining and the sea was calm. Soon he decided to stop fishing and have some lunch. When Bill opened his lunchbox, he found a note wrapped around his sandwiches. By King Neptune's beard, exclaimed Bill. I forgot to tell Keepers Ross and Cromarty about the signal I got from head office this morning. I must have forgotten all about it in my hurry to get away fishing. The message said that the chief lighthouse keeper was planning an official visit to the Guillemot Rock at the end of June. I know, grinned Bill. I'll get in some semaphore practice and see if I can send the message to Cromarty, who's on watch in the lighthouse. Bill stood up in his boat and began to signal, and as he did, Stornoway flew off towards the lighthouse. Meanwhile, Cromarty was sitting in the service room, polishing the telescope. Nothing happens on this part of the coast, he sighed. Oh, well, I'd better get back on watch. He raised the telescope to one eye, and to his amazement, he could see a ship being attacked by a sea monster. He was just about to sound the alarm when he realized that he'd been looking at a framed picture hanging on the other side of the room. Suffering swordfish. Well, that was a close one, he giggled. He crossed the room to the window and looked through the telescope once again. This time, he saw another eye looking back at him down the telescope. It was Stornoway the seagull, who had flown to the lighthouse to attract his attention. Hello, Stornoway. What brings you here? Asked Cromarty. After some scraps of food? Ah! Screamed Stornoway, and he flew off in the direction of Bill's boat. How rude, sniffed Cromarty. He didn't even say goodbye. Then Cromarty noticed that Bill was standing in his boat, waving his arms. Jumping jellyfish, it's Bill, and he's sending a semaphore message. Hold on a minute, where's my code book? He shouted, waving his telescope wildly. After a few minutes of frantic waving, the message had been sent. Cromarty made a mistake. Bill spelled out the message. Head keeper, official visit, end of June. Head keeper, official visit, this afternoon. Got it, Bill. Over and out, waved Cromarty. He was feeling rather important and decided to let Ross know all about it right away. When the music stops, you can turn your cassette over. Ross was visiting his friend Finisterre on the mainland, so Cromarty decided to leave a message at the village shop, knowing that Ross would visit there sooner or later to pick up some supplies. Grandma Tyree answered the telephone, but there was a lot of crackling on the line, and it was very hard to hear who was speaking.
Hello, Cromarty! Is that you? I'm afraid it's a bad line.
Yes, I feel fine too, Mrs. Tyree, answered Cromarty. But listen, I have an important message for Ross from Portland Bill. Cromarty was so excited he couldn't seem to make Grandma Tyree understand.
Headkeeper, official visit, this afternoon,
shouted Cromarty. Cousin Peter, official trip this afternoon, repeated Grandma Tyree. Thank you, Cromarty. As she put down the radio telephone, Finisterre the crofter came into the shop.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Tyree, he said. May I have 2 jam tarts, please? Ross and I have been mending a fence this morning, and we're rather hungry.
As she wrapped the jam tarts, Grandma Tyree mentioned that she had a message for Ross from the lighthouse. Finisterre agreed to tell Ross right away, and he left the shop and walked off down the leafy lane, repeating the message to himself over and over again. As he walked along, he began to feel more and more hungry, and the message gradually changed to
Cousin Peter, fish and chips this afternoon.
And this was the message that he relayed to Ross. A little later, Ross called into the village shop to pick up some supplies. This time, Eddie Stone was behind the counter. I'd better take some napkins and some of your special oatcakes, please, Eddie. I've just had a message that Cromarty's cousin Peter is visiting the lighthouse this afternoon, and we're having a special tea to celebrate. You're lucky. There are just 4 left, laughed Eddie, as he handed over a large box of supplies. When Portland Bill arrived home after his day's fishing, he was greeted by a wonderful aroma of fried fish. When he walked into the living room, he found that the table was spread with a feast, and Ross and Cromarty were looking rather pleased with themselves. Got your message, Skipper, joked Cromarty. But neither the head keeper nor Cousin Peter has arrived yet, added Ross, and they burst into laughter. By King Neptune's beard, gasped Bill. You can't have understood my message. We'll have to polish up our semaphore, laughed Ross. I agree, said Cromarty. But we'll do it as soon as we've polished off our tea.